Hey guys, and welcome to today's video. In this video, we're going to be looking at React styled components in under 10 minutes. At least that's the intention. So I believe we can cover pretty much like 80% or the majority of things really that you'll need with styled components on a daily basis in these 10 minutes. Quickly before we start though, if you want to dive further into React style components, I do actually have a course. It's supposed to be $29, but I'll leave a link below with a coupon code, which will bring it down to $4. So just use YouTube25 coupon code and it will bring it down to just $4. So that's $4 for around 2 hours of React styled components content. And you get 30-day money back guarantee and lifetime updates. I'm constantly updating my courses. Okay, so I'm going to stop blabbing on about that and we can dive right into the video. So as we can see, we've got this blank React app here, and it's actually a blank Create React app. A couple of things, I've already created a new Create React app project, and I've gutted it out. So I've just removed all the boilerplate HTML. So I've literally gutted it all out, no CSS styles. I've just got this app component here rendering a H1 with app text in it. A couple of things to note, I've already installed React styled components. So if we take a look at package.json, we've got styled components here. I'm using version 5.1.0. So all we need to do is run npm install styled-components in the root directory of your project, and it'll install styled components for you. Also, a really cool extension to use if you're using Visual Studio Code is this VS Code styled components extension, which gives syntax highlighting for styled components. Okay, so with that said, let's get into the video and let's actually create our first styled component then. All we need to do is import styled from styled components. And to create a styled component is fairly similar to how we'd create a normal React component in the sense that we render it the same and we give it a uppercase first letter. So here we go. Let's create a button, a styled component button. So first of all, we want a const button with a capital B because all React components and styled components must begin with a capital letter. So we're going to set that equal to styled. And after this styled, we have dot. And after this styled dot, we can have any valid HTML tag. So we can have button here. Obviously, because we're creating a styled button, we want a HTML button. So what styled components will do is go ahead and create the markup and the button element for us. So we want style.button. If we wanted to, we could have style.div. If we wanted, we could also have things like style.header, section, main, etc., etc. So any valid HTML5 tag we can place here. Obviously, again, we just want the button. And after this button then, or after the HTML5 tag, we want a set of backticks. And within these backticks, this is where we place any valid CSS. So we can have background black, for example, color white. So you can see this is valid CSS syntax. We can have font size 30 pixels. And let's keep it at that for now. And let's actually render this styled component then. Under this H1, we just render it like any other React component. So before we take a look in the browser, obviously we need to render some text within this button component. Otherwise it'll just be a blank button. So let's put random button in here. And you'll notice with normal React components, we usually have to destructure children and render the children in there, for example. However, with styled components, it does this automatically for us. So obviously we've just got a string in this button component for now as a child, but we could have any HTML markup in here. For example, if we wanted strong for the random and then button, just normal text, we could have any valid HTML in here. So that's absolutely fine. And also any other components we can render in here, that's absolutely fine. And styled components will go ahead and render those children for us. So let's go ahead and take a look in the browser. And we can see we've got our random button here. And if we inspect, we can't really see the bold font there or the strong tag font. But if we inspect, we can actually see that it has actually rendered the strong tag. And there we go. That is the really simple way to create our first styled component. Now, let's say we want to create variations of this button component. For example, a primary button or a secondary button. Well, all we need to do is simply pass a prop in to this button styled component. Let's call it variant. And this variant can either be primary or secondary. So let's give this variant a primary string. So then what we can do is, because we've got a set of backticks here, we can interpolate within this string. So we can interpolate a function in here. So instead of this background black, we want to give it a different background color. So when we interpolate a function in styled components, we get access to the props. So it automatically injects the props into our styled component, any prop that we passed into it. So we've got the variant prop here. So what we can do is check to see if props.variant, and if that's equal to primary, then we can simply, for the background, let's render blue, else we'll render black as our default background. So let's create another button before we take a look in the browser again. And this first button will have no variant, so it should default to a black background. And then this second button will have our primary blue color. So let's put default in there just so we can differentiate between the default and random. So let's take a look, and there we go. So our default button is black background. Our random button is the primary button, which has the primary blue background. Okay, so what we'd usually do here is we wouldn't actually define our button component within our app component. We would have it in, for example, a new folder in source, and it will be in components and common. So within this components and common, let's create a new file called button.js. And then let's paste our button styled component in here. And then let's export button. And at the top here, instead of importing React, because we're not actually using JSX within this styled component, we're not rendering any JSX, we don't need to import React. But we do need to import styled from styled components. So then in app.js, let's import button from components/common/button. And let's remove this styled import, and let's take a look in the browser. Okay, nothing's broken, so it means it's working. So there we go. This is the really easy way we can get up and running with styled components. Within, let's take a look at the button again. So within here, we can have any valid CSS, like I said before, which means then we could have various selectors in here. So we could select the first child, for example. So if it's the first child, for example, let's give it a border of 5 pixels, solid and red. And for this to work, we're going to have to go back to app.js and wrap these two buttons in a container. So this default button should have the red border applied to it because it's the first child within its container, so within this div container. So let's take a look in the browser, and there we go. We can see the default button has got the red outline, or the red border. So yeah, there we go. That is pretty much the basics of what you need for styled components to work with them on a daily basis. Please, if you like this video, drop it a thumbs up, comment down below if you found it useful, and subscribe to my channel. Again, I'll leave a link in the description below with a discount code for my React Styled Components course. So you can get it for $4 instead of $29. So with that said, I'm going to end the video here, and I will catch you in the next video.